Now, the year of 2015 saw one of the worst floods the city of Chennai has ever seen. The unprecedented flood caused a total damage of 15,000 crore rupees, according to ASSOCHAM. Though the city has bounced back, the real estate sector of the city has a long way to go. Hubs that were once considered hot investment destinations are now witnessing a drop in interest from the buyers. Should you put your money in Chennai? That's the question we're asking tonight on the Urban Debate. And to answer that question, we have Arun Kumar, founder and MD, Casa, Grande, Arvind Nandan, Executive Director, Liases Foras. Arun and Arvind, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the Urban Debate. But what we're also going to do is open up the phone lines for you, which is flashing at the bottom of your screen. If you have any opinion or queries, you can reach out to us on this number. So let's get straight to it. Okay, I'm going to start with the man in the studio with me. Talk to us. Tell us, the city has bounced back. December's music season was an evidence of Chennai bouncing back after those devastating floods. But are you seeing that in the realty market as well?
No, I don't think the realty market has recovered as it. And I think it will be a little too premature to think that realty market will recover in a matter of 30, 40 days. It takes a lot of time, psychological as well as real.
Okay.
You look, the schools have started to open only now.
Okay.
So, the real life is only beginning. So, I don't think you can expect real estate to have bounced back so fast. It'll take a lot of time.
Okay, that's Arvind's take. Arun, what is your take? Are you seeing any kind of, realty market movement post the floods?
So, is the question that is the market started seeing movements? Is that the question?
Yes, that is the question. Please go ahead.
Yeah. See, I would think it's too short a while, after the floods.
Okay.
This has been an unprecedented event for sure. Considering the fact that it's unprecedented, it would take some time for people to kind of, get out of this as a mindset and get going with the regular life. But having said that, even a month to month and a half, which has already passed, has shown signs of recoveries where people have started again inquiring marginally. And if that could continue, I would think another few more months, as I would see. Let's say summer happens. I think as the Chennai dries up, I think even the real estate gloom would dry up, and I think people would come back to buying homes. The market is still very much existent and buoyant. Obviously, it's been a flat curve for last maybe a year and a half to two. So this rain has added to the woes. But having said that, it would recover back in a short while, is what our belief system says.
Okay, recover back in a short while. Arvind, I'm going to come to you on that. The losses have been pegged at 15,000 crore rupees. Talk to us. Could you, put that into perspective when it comes to the real estate sector and how that's set to hit the real estate sector? How much did the real estate sector get hit because of the floods?
Look, there are two ways to look at it, and I'll go back a little.
Okay.
First of all, 15,000 crores, and I think that's just an estimate or an estimate,
okay,
is only of direct losses. If you look at the attendant losses, for example, the IT and the automobile sectors, which are so very vibrant in Chennai, they have they still have to take a call on how much losses they've made. Plus, there are other kinds of losses to infrastructure, to public property. If you put everything together, the losses could total up to about 1 lakh of crores. Remember, in the recent investor summit, Chennai probably looked to net in about 2.4 lakh crores or something.
Yeah.
Half of that has already been damaged or sort of been affected. So, now, I don't know how much the losses to real estate sector might be. It's as yet too early to estimate that. But there could be, a proxy that we can use. If the economic sector, if the economic process has been damaged so badly or has been hit so badly, you can have its implication on Chennai real estate. So while I agree with Arun that, it'll take a while, my guess is that it's probably going to take longer than 3-4 months to have have that recovery. It'll probably take a year or so.
Okay, no simple answers when it comes to Chennai. That's what the floods showed us. Arun, I'm going to ask you as a developer, how are you coping with this? Because, buyers' priorities have clearly changed post the floods. Right, it's not anymore about the kind of property that they want, but the kind of property that is safe to invest in, literally safe to live in as well. How are you as a developer rearranging yourself post the floods?
The audio is just not clear. You might have to repeat this question a little slower.
Arun, as a developer, how are you rearranging your strategy post the floods? Because the priority of the buyers have changed post the floods. It is not about the quality of the property anymore, but it's about the safety of the property now post the floods.
The audio is just not clear. I'm very sorry. I'm not able to follow the question because it's kind of
Okay.
blipping. So I'm not able to follow the
All
question
right, we'll
at
be
all.
fixing that glitch in just a bit. Arun, please hold on with us. I'm just going to get back to Mr. Arvind Nandan. In the meanwhile, that's the same question I want to ask you as well. The buyer's priorities have changed. It's not about the property anymore. It's about the safety of the property. In such a situation, developers have to regroup and re-strategize all over again, right?
Absolutely. I think it's even more than that. It's not just about whether I should buy a property now because there were floods. It's about how secure is my asset going to be in that city. It's not just the physical asset, but how secure I am mentally in that particular city. And when I say the city, I don't mean the whole of Chennai. There are certain pockets which were very badly affected. Let's say, if you wanted to speak of Velachery, then people definitely have a big scare and a scar on their psyches. So that's going to probably take longer to heal than just recovery of the property or the physical asset. So, it's very, very difficult to put a finger on how long will it take. But I think unless there is a clear-cut demonstration on part of authorities, on the part of, the society as it is, that there is a clear-cut plan in place, there is a clear-cut, a way to avoid certain disasters like this in the future, this will actually take much, much longer than, what we see today.
Okay, it is going to take much, much longer because, things like stormwater drains, things like, the kind of infrastructure that's needed to protect yourself from such natural calamities, it's woefully short as far as the city of Chennai is concerned. In fact, some of the most key localities which were doing very well for themselves before the floods, have seen sales plummet over there because, for example, residential sales in Chennai jumped 90%, the highest in India for the second quarter of the last financial year. 7.4 million square feet worth of residential sales took place. But all that, is changing dramatically post the Chennai rains. I just want to understand, as far as investor confidence is concerned, that is surely at an all-time low, right, Arvind?
It is. I don't want to paint a completely bleaky picture, but yes, there is definitely a very big hit on the psyches of investors as well as the users. So, while you give the numbers of 7+ million square foot having been transacted, on an average, Chennai is supposed to do about so much. Given the kind of ratio that exists in Chennai. I use a very simple ratio, that of economic activity to per household. 6.5 to 7 million is definitely par for Chennai. When it doesn't do well, it definitely means that there is a lack of confidence. When it is hit by a calamity or a disaster like this, it's again going to go down. I believe in years to come, Chennai is something which must do about 10 million odd square feet every year. So whether it happens a year later or 2 years later, I don't know. But if the city braces up well, there are elections coming up, so I'm sure there is going to be a lot of effort on the part of political society as well, the political groups as well. I think Chennai should do 8 to 9 or 10 million odd very easily if everything is in place.
That's a really optimistic picture that you're painting, Arvind, in a situation like this. But at this stage in the urban debate, I'm going to introduce another guest who is joining us on the urban debate. That is Vineet Relia, Managing Director, SARE Homes, joining us on the phone line. Vineet, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the urban debate. We're discussing Chennai. The city has bounced back. It even witnessed its much famed December music season as well. How do you view the realty market, especially after such catastrophic floods which hit the city?
So I think, when you look at Chennai, I think Arvind mentioned Chennai as a city has a huge appetite for real estate.
Okay.
And I think it's one of those markets which is, it knows how to face certain odds, and their passion for investing in real estate remains. However, this time around, I think, the consumers have realized that it's not about just going out and investing into any kind of unorganized layouts. Because one of the predominant businesses in Chennai has always been the layout business, where you would have local developers just cutting out, plots as investment asset classes, and, people just buy without even bothering about infrastructure. And, last year we were vocal and we tried launching something called service plots, but, to our surprise, there were very few takers. And I think now is the time where consumers will realize what's the importance of, a developed integrated townships. For example, our township in Chennai, we only had a power cut for about 6 hours, and the total flooding time where the elevators didn't work was about 3 days. But other than that, everything was kind of maintained because fortunately for us, it's a large townships and
Okay.
the areas which got affected were more which are controlled by the government agency.
Okay, can you give us an idea? The areas worst hit by the flood, because the areas worst hit by the flood are also Chennai's prime property markets. OMR,
Yeah.
ECR, for instance.
Yeah.
The way they've been performing so far will change dramatically now, right?
No, I think you see, again, it depends. When you're talking about OMR, we also have a project on the OMR, but we've got 116-acre project.
Okay.
So fortunately for us, at least the infrastructure within the project was managed well, so we could avert any kind of a situation inside the project.
Okay.
Our biggest challenge was that the roads outside the project and the access points was a problem, where also we managed to maintain buses. So I think, like many other states, Chennai's also got to have a proper integrated township policy where, there is impetus on the government and encouragement of developers to put in the internal infrastructure in place. Because ultimately, and then, you can't even blame the developers because this is probably one of the few cases I have seen in my lifetime where airports get flooded like this. And normally you would assume that the aviation industry actually have been following all the rigorous guidelines and, this is like, and this flood is actually it's a reverse flow from the rivers. It's
Absolutely.
not, so it was something which could have really been anticipated, and I think somebody seems to have got it all wrong.
It's very.
So I'm sure government will look at it, and real estate definitely stands affected because there is a huge fear in the minds of consumers. But having said that, it's not that the sales have stopped. We are seeing sales continuing, though at a slower pace. And I think post-Pongal, it should, some volume should bounce back.
Yeah, Vineet, as developer, I wanted to ask you this only. What are you hearing from the government? Any kind of efforts to plan for such exigencies, especially after something like this unfolded?
See, I think I wouldn't really, even if I was asked that, okay, what you would plan, it's going to take a while. It's not going to be easy changing the whole city, which has developed over, more than 100 years. And the kind of development which you see, especially around the airport with those huge Tambram blocks, which are all used to be basically layout 30 years back. I think it's going to take time. And I don't think anybody has a real cookie-cut answer. They've got to really put the best minds in the world around it. And in fact, Chennai is lucky to have some of the sharpest minds. And they need to come out with a solution. I don't think there's anything as of now, and I'm sure the government is currently working at the first level measures to reduce the misery of people who have got affected.
Absolutely.
And then I think in stage 2, they would have some kind of a plan. I'm confident they'll do something about it.
You're confident, wonderful. But, you're talking about the sharpest minds. Unfortunately, Chennai is lucky and fortunate to have such sharp minds, but very unfortunate to have just such little stormwater drains, 855 kilometers of stormwater drains versus 2,500 kilometers of roads in the city. It's unlucky that the number of water bodies in the city have gone down from 677 to just about 27. It's, Chennai is unlucky in a lot of ways, and it showed up when a national disaster like that flood struck, and we're yet to hear about how this will be fixed going forward, and this can be avoided, and that is a little, unsettling. I'm going to come to Arvind on that. Arvind, the key markets in the city have witnessed a downturn. Velachery, Pallikaranai, west of OMR, GST Road, Tambaram, Guduvanchery, Perumbakam, Mogappere, Ambattur. All these are fantastic markets, but especially after the rains, this is just really not good news for the real estate sector, right?
Absolutely. I think you're indicating more towards the commercial sector, but
Yeah.
I would say put commercial, residential and retail, everything together. These are the hubs of all real estate activity in Chennai.
Yeah.
If you want to go north, then maybe you can pick up 1 or 2 markets more.
Yeah.
But mostly these are the markets. I have something more to say, than just commenting on how the real estate market is suffering. Vineet just mentioned about, the reverse flow and the airport getting affected. I remember in 2009, I was in London and the whole of Heathrow airport was shut down when it was snowing very badly. We've seen that happen in Mumbai. The problem, I think, I don't like to point fingers at the political community at all the times, but, I think there is one definite fault that we have. We allow a lot of unorganized activity to happen at vital points or the nerve centers. So, for example, around nalas, around water bodies.
Absolutely.
In all our cities, we allow those illegal, unethical, improper settlements to take place. And when such a disaster strikes, that becomes the major source of worry. We've seen that in Mumbai, we see that in Delhi, we see that in Chennai, and I don't know how long we'll go on seeing it. The problem is you want to rehabilitate or do something, but you don't want to do it there. At such nerve centers, I remember in Mumbai, the Methi River was getting narrower and narrower, and there was, such a huge resistance to removing the people from those vital points. So unless that happens, Krishnan, I don't think improving economic activity just for the heck of it is going to help. Okay. So obviously these markets are going to suffer. They are suffering right now. They will probably bounce back as well. But God forbid, if you have another disaster like this, then these are the main markets which will again get affected. And that's my major concern.
And on that note, we have Arun Kumar, back with us. Arun, we were just talking about how, some of the prime real estate markets, the hub of the real estate industry in the city, has witnessed a downturn ever since the floods. Areas like Velachery, Pallikaranai, OMR, GST Road, Tambaram, Krompet, Perumbakam, Mogappere, all these areas are the hub of the real estate activity in Chennai. How are investors and the industry reacting to something like this when the biggest chunk of your real estate activity is witnessing a downturn?
See, obviously these areas have been affected quite a bit during this, floods, because of which obviously it's bound to have an impact on the market. But I just would want to ask to think through something different. See, let us say this floods, has it affected only these locations which were heart of real estate activity? It has affected the most expensive pockets, including a T Nagar or a Kotupuram, etc., where per square foot sell even at 15 to 20,000 bucks. Since the flood was actually across the whole city. Yeah, very much. So the flood was across the whole city. So narrowing these suburbs to say that they were not well planned, or the builders possibly went about a little more irrational development, etc., is a little too far-fetched. See, this was a natural disaster, and it is bound to hit the whole city by its strength.
I'm just going to comment on that. Give me a second.
Really talking about only these markets being...
No, I'm just going to comment on that. We're talking about these markets because it's obviously these are the real estate hubs of the city. That's why. But as far as development is concerned, the number of water bodies in the city has gone from around 670 to about 27. The number of major lakes, which covered about over 1,000 hectares. Right now, 19 major lakes still exist in the city, but the coverage area is down to 600 hectares. You're talking about average elevation of 6.7 meters above sea level, which I'm not sure how many developments follow. And just 855 kilometers of stormwater drains versus 2,800 kilometers of urban roads. There is something terribly wrong over here as far as the development of the city is concerned.
Yeah, that is something I fully agree. In fact, we'll have to understand that possibly the development authorities need to plan this through a little more thorough in their kind of a research and possibly the whole evolving of what has happened. So obviously we do fully understand that there is a flaw in the system, and that has to be corrected through continuous research. In fact, such a flood obviously it shows out very clearly as to what are the weak links of Chennai, and this is the point where we need to do course corrections, and the development authorities are the ones who need to make observations and logically make course corrections.
I don't know, how do you as a developer make a course correction right now in this market to bring the buyer back into the market? What are you as a developer planning to do in this situation? What kind of course correction as a developer are you planning to get the buyers back into the market? Because I'm sure buyer confidence is at an all-time low in the Chennai market at this moment.
For sure. See, what really happens actually at the moment is, there are quite a few developments which, though heavy floods have happened, have survived it very well in terms of possibly water is not flooding even the stilt areas of the car parks, etc. So that has all happened because of very, very good, planning of sewer lines within the community and the height at which the whole, development has been elevated, etc. So these things have been highlighted continuously to all our customers. In fact, for example, all our developments, none of the sites got flooded per se. And I can say this very confidently because of very thorough planning which we have done, understanding the nuances of the location per se, and that has obviously augured very well for us because none of the sites have gotten flooded. I am not giving you a very honest, hunky-dory picture about what happened in any of the sites, but if that is the truth and we are going to flash that out to the customers, that builds the confidence for them to believe that actually if it is planned well, yeah, these are situations, yes, it will get difficult for them to move out beyond their community, but having said that, at least in the community they are very well safe. So to that extent actually is what we have done, and we have very clearly evinced that this is what we have done, and that is obviously creating enough interest in the market.
All right. Arun, we're just going to hold on to that because right now we do have a live caller joining us here on the Urban Debate. We have Anuradha Kumar, with a query about a property in Virugambakam. Anuradha Kumar, please go ahead.
Good evening. I was just seeing your program, and the question I have is, I have a 15-year-old apartment in Virugambakam on Vembuli Amman Koil Street.
Okay.
And we had just made, we were planning to sell it, and we had very good buyers just before the floods. We were almost going to close a deal, but at that point of time, this deluge happened. So now I would like to know whether we should continue with the sale or hold on for some time or go in for rent. How will the property market, especially for the second sale of this flat, be affected?
Can you give us a little more details about the property that you're holding?
It's a 2 BHK, around 20 square feet, 15-year-old apartment, but it's a very good housing society. And that particular property by itself, it had water in water did enter the premises, but not within the houses.
Okay. Property in Virugambakam, 15 years old. I'm going to take this to Arvind Nandan first. Arvind, what would be your advice to this query?
See, I have a very simple advice for Anuradha. This probably is not the best time to sell her asset, given the fact that her property itself was, if not damaged, at least affected.
Yes.
And the buyer, by now we've discussed, the buyer is somewhat affected. The asset on sale is somewhat affected. I don't think you can extract the right value or a good value out of this. Unless you are in distress, I think hold on to it. Very simple advice.
Simple advice, hold on right now. Neither buy nor sell, would you say, Arvind Nandan, in a market like this?
Well, I wouldn't say don't do anything. If you have the need, then you must go ahead and buy or at least book. It doesn't mean that the whole city has come to a standstill. You definitely should book. But if you are selling a piecemeal asset, then probably you're not going to get a good value for it. So why not wait for a while?
All right. Okay, fine. On that note, let's take it across to Arun Kumar of Casa Grande. Arun, we just heard about this query about property in Virugambakam. Virugambakam is a good location, a 15-year-old good housing society property. And, right now, property in Chennai is just, it was filled with, after it's filled with water, right now, property in Chennai is as illiquid as possible because, first of all, you should be lucky enough to find a buyer. And if you do find a buyer, you should be extremely lucky to find the right price for your property. I just want to understand, as a developer from now, I just want to understand what do developers need to do? I mean, yes, Casa Grande has been lucky and, has saved itself during the deluge. But what about other developers? What do you think they need to do? We've seen, advertisements disappearing from newspapers because, I'm sure everybody understands that it's not that easy to sell property to a buyer in Chennai anymore.
See, I'll tell you what, actually. Everybody could have different point of view. I have a very specific point of view here. The market as a city, Chennai as a city is a strong city which possibly survived across because of multifarious industries surviving, including IT, which is done well, ITES, to automobile, to, electronics and so on and so forth. So I don't think Chennai per se is really going to suddenly, see a sea change where people are going to evacuate and move. So what really could happen for sure is quite a few of the newer investments which are contemplating Chennai possibly might look at some more. But otherwise the industries will continue to exist, and the economy is a reasonably good thriving economy. So having said that, the market, I don't see a sudden sea change for all the fear which possibly getting instilled. Yes, it has happened. So this is one in a century, and people tend to forget these things and move on. And in fact, my advice to Miss Anuradha, if I heard and hear the name right,
it is Anuradha,
is that actually in a location which is heart of the city like Virugambakam, if you had to again bring a property back into the market, just maybe after the month of Margari, which possibly is not so auspicious for the thing, I would think she would find a buyer in a very short while. Yes, possibly there could be a dent of about a 2 or 3%, but for her to hold on to the decision of not really putting it up in the market is not good. And going back to the question, as a builders, I would think we should just get back into the market and keep bringing our products into the market and give the comfort that actually, there are enough and go more good locations, good developers who are building very good properties where, it is really not, it possibly is a lot more safer than the locations which are not been so well planned, including heart of city, including locations like T Nagar and things. So many city locations on the suburbs have also survived better. So the whole hyped up story, let's say from a studio from Mumbai for you to see, is all the scary things which have happened. But I'll have to tell you that yes, there is enough and more of part of Chennai which didn't get affected so much, and actually, people kind of comfortably survive through those weeks.
Arun,
so, that's how
at
I
this
see
point,
it.
I really
don't see this becoming a big dent.
Arun, at this point, I need to tell you that I was born and raised in Chennai, and I have my entire family living in Chennai. So I know how much it has been affected during the rains. The kind of talk that existed about buying homes before the deluge, that talk has changed a lot, and areas which we would never thought get affected got affected this time around, Arun. And I don't think it's a Mumbai studio perspective. This is a perspective coming in from a guy who was born and raised in that city, and I know it for a fact that that city got shook up after those rains. It's not, I mean, one thing it is to downplay the fears, and the other thing is to not look at the reality of it all. On that note, I'm going to bring in another developer over here, Vineet Relia. Vineet, you've been hearing Arun downplay the fears of the Chennai market. What is your take? Are you seeing buyers come back to the market in a situation like this?
See, I think, like I mentioned, sales have been trickling in. And they've been, I would say, probably at about 1/4 level of what it was pre-floods. So, but, if you look at the situation on ground, people have got affected severely, and there is what I would call there is a kind of a liquidity crunch in the market. Because if you look at businesses, if you look at even individuals, people are, trying to get their cars fixed, or people are trying to buy new cars because, vehicles have got affected big time. So there is definitely a liquidity crunch which is there liquidity crunch of some sorts at the ground level, which is definitely affecting sales. And we are seeing much slower payment inflow which is happening. And obviously 1 month was almost everything stopped, and things are starting. I think post Pongal, anyways, this was probably the unauspicious period, so we also didn't anticipate much. I think post Pongal it should bounce back.
Post Pongal, it should bounce back. I'm going to bring in Arvind Nandan on that note. Arvind, we've had Arun Kumar saying that all of this is a little too hyped up because the realty business will continue one way or the other. And even you've been talking about how some of these fears tend to get hyped up. But at the end of the day, you're talking about a market which, like the rest of the real estate markets in this country, is not growing as much as it ideally should. And then you have a natural disaster like this. This has to put in some kind of soul searching in developers for sure, right?
Soul searching, of course, but I wouldn't actually target just one segment of the economy or one part of the economy. Developers should do soul searching. There's no harm, but eventually it's not the developer alone. It is the policy maker, it is the financier segment, it is the user segment, everybody. And the biggest of all, the people who run the city, people who run the city on a day-to-day basis, they are the ones who, if not held accountable, they are the ones who have to do maximum thinking. Like I said earlier, if you allow unwanted settlements to take place at vital points, then this is what you're going to be asking for. So, that is point number one. Let me also add something more. While I do not contradict the point that this is this is not the end of the city. This is definitely a city which is much more resilient, like Bombay, like many other cities of India. But having had such a disaster, if not back-breaking, it's definitely a huge setback. And I don't want to underplay that, and I don't want to be over or excessively
optimistic.
Don't want to be overly optimistic. I'm definitely an optimist at all times.
So am I.
I mean, we generally are, but we have to look at things in reality. Chennai is a huge market. It is a very resilient market. It is the IT hub. It is the manufacturing hub. It is the hub of so much of international trading.
Yes.
But at the same time, you have to see where you've gone wrong. And I think we've gone wrong in over-urbanizing, under-planning the whole city. Over-urbanizing, under-planning is not just Chennai, by the way. We are doing it in many other places. Yeah. So, we must actually be extremely careful about it. I said it on an earlier program, on a similar debate on this channel, that we have put too many people per square kilometer in some of these places. Unless we act on that, and unless we make a plan where in the next 20 years, we will be able to make the city more sustainable, this is something which will happen. And I'm sorry to say, it's not going to take just a couple of months to recover. It's probably going to take much longer.
It's very, very clear. It's like the global economy. There are no quick fix solutions. There is no silver bullet that will fix the Chennai market in 2-3 months' time. It's going to take a long time. That said, we do have another viewer query that is coming in as we speak. We have Mr. Balakrishnan joining us on the phone line, and he has a property in Royapeta, and he has a query about it. Mr. Balakrishnan, please go ahead and ask the question to our panelists.
Yeah, see, I have a property at Chennai, at Royapeta, and it is on Westcott Road, right opposite to Royapeta Government Hospital.
Yes.
It is an 8-story building. My flat is on the 4th floor, and it is 880 square feet. It's a 2-bedroom flat.
Okay.
And I want to sell it. It
Okay.
is very good flat. There has been no flood during the last flood. It has not been affected. I want to sell it. How much I'll get?
Come again, sir. What did you say?
If I want to sell it now, how much I'll get now?
How much you will get now? How much you will get now?
What
sir?
should I be getting?
Yeah, what should ideally be getting? Yes. That query is understood very clearly, Mr. Balakrishnan. So let me take it across to Arun first quickly. Arun, do you think he wants to sell it? Do you think he should go ahead quickly?
I think he should go ahead. See,
Okay.
I don't think actually curbing all these things, saying, the market is going to be slow. So let's say after 8 months, as Mr. Arvind did mention, possibly or 8 months or 1 year, is he going to get possibly, 20% more price than possibly what he might get now? I would not think so. So I would think he should just put it on the block to check what is really happening. And you could get a price which should possibly, see, what could also happen is you'll have to understand there's one more inherent thinking by the client or customer that he might get a very attractive price at the moment in the market. So if possibly that's possibly the thinking which somewhere becomes viral, you might just land up getting prices. See, we're not talking about supplying huge stocks into the particular markets, let's say like builders who do. I mean, let's say we bring 200 to 300 units at a point in time into a market. We are talking about interspersed offerings by single apartment owners who are selling their units. You might just find a buyer. I really don't think shying away saying this is a bad time,
And Arun,
etc.,
what would be a good
and
price?
hoping one day after say 1 year you're going to get a very fat price is a very prudent way to think.
Arun, what would be a good price? Your take
I mean,
now,
there's a lot of
850
variables.
square feet.
I mean, we don't know who's the developer. We don't know how many years.
Okay. It's in Royapeta, opposite the Royapeta Government Hospital.
No, 880 square foot. Who's the builder? What's the kind of development? What kind of...
Okay.
How many years old is that?
We don't have... it's a 2 BHK apartment on the 4th floor. Mr. Balakrishnan, if you're still with us, can you give us a little more details? How old is this property? Who is the builder? If you can give us some more details.
Yeah. It was built in 1988.
1988 built. Okay.
Built by Roms Builders.
Rams Builders. Okay.
Yeah. And it is in very good condition.
Okay.
And it's the most sought after place, and only people who are, sort of eminent people are only staying there.
Okay. A 850 square feet apartment built by Rams Builders in 1988. Arun, now give us your take.
He could get a price. Yes. I've got that. I think he should expect a price of about 65 to 70 lakhs at the moment.
65 to 70 lakh rupees, Mr. Balakrishnan, is the word coming in from Mr. Arun Kumar of Casa Grande. I'm going to take that same question to our property consultant, Arvind Nandan of Liases Foras as well. Arvind, your take. What is the right price?
Well, I think it's a little difficult to get a real take on the price, but I think I broadly agree with Arun. It should definitely fetch him about 70-75 lakhs. Look, I want to add one more thing, which could otherwise go wrong. When you say you should actually not attempt to sell your asset, it's for one simple reason. If your asset is affected, which is one part of your sale, and if the buyer himself or herself is affected, then you have both the parties, not in a great state of mind. So the price discovery may not happen. You may actually end up not selling 20% higher, but maybe end up selling 10% lower. And that's the risk you want to avoid. In such a case, in Mr. Balakrishnan's property's case, I think the asset per se has been good. It's been safe. It's actually it will stand out because it's not been affected. In this case, probably it's a good idea to explore sale. So, there's a difference in the situations here. In this particular case, I would say he should definitely go ahead and try because that's now a USP. In such a bad situation, it stood out. The property stood out. It actually, showed that it was much better developed, much better located. Pricing, I'm not very sure of, but about 70-75 lakhs is my very, very broad guess as well.
Okay, fine. Roughly 65 to 75 lakhs, 70 to 75 lakhs will be a good price, Mr. Balakrishnan. That's the verdict coming in from our developer panelist and consultant panelist. I hope that makes it clearer for you when it comes to your sale. And on that note, I'm just going to Mr. Vineet Relia of SARE Homes. Vineet, the question that is on the top of the mind of anybody who's been a fence sitter as far as the Chennai market is concerned, I've been one for very long as far as the Chennai market is concerned. Is this now then a good time to buy, or is it the time then to wait and watch a little longer as far as buying a home in Chennai is concerned?
See, I think the way I look at it, even pre-floods, the markets were almost kind of at a bottoming out situation. So post-floods, as it is, everybody realizes there's a liquidity crunch.
Okay.
And I think it's a very good time to buy, especially because if you're looking at the areas, micro markets you had mentioned, when you're looking at organized developers selling and the volumes of under 200, they are normally in suburbs. And these suburbs are definitely were less affected than the main city CBD areas. So I would think this is the best time to buy because I think the offerings currently are at a bottom low.
Okay.
And, with the kind of inventory positions, I think there are good schemes going on. Moving forward, for any developer to be building new properties with the construction pricing, and I'm sure some policy changes and all coming up, these prices will not be available in the future.
Okay, so you're saying that, now is a buyer's market. That's the word coming from Vineet Relia of SARE Homes. On that note, I'm just going to take a very short breather here on the urban debate and this discussion on the... All right, 1 second. Before I take a break, Arun Kumar wants to come in on this as well. Arun, please go ahead. Talk to us.
See, that's exactly what I'm saying. Assuming the mood is a little low, not so up there. Having said that, a customer would find fantastic deals in the market. There are a lot of builders possibly who might be crunched at the moment for cash. And if that were to be the case, actually he would find fantastic deals in the market which otherwise might not be available for him. So this is also a way to possibly view the market.
Yes,
See, what is the point when the whole market is looking good and the prices have all bulged and the whole market chases apartments at that point in time? Let's understand common sense, forget about business sense. No, just a common sense. That's not the point in time to chase or make a kill or make a fantastic deal. But this is possibly a time when if the market really plays out to be really bad as what all of you all are saying, and which possibly I'm saying I might differ, but having said that, if that's the case, then that's the time to really get in. So I would think that is the smarter way to see it from a customer perspective, very logically seeing the whole thing.
Big debate tonight is on the Chennai real estate market post the devastating floods. And we have a viewer query coming in. Quickly, I want to take that. We have Suresh calling in with a query about investing in property built by VGN Builders. Suresh, please go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Suresh, calling from Mumbai right now.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I always wanted to watch, Magicbricks. It's always, it's given a lot of information to the common people.
Our pleasure,
Okay.
Suresh. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I want to I have located a project which is in Guindy. It's a VGN Fairmount, and it's a compact 2 BHK flat, and it's approximately costing me around 52 lakhs. So I just want to know two things. One is whether I have I'll be making a right investment and for a long term, and the project completion is almost 3 years. And how about the prospects in Guindy, around in Guindy?
And the project will get completed in 3 years from now is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, right. December 2018.
December 2018. Arvind, I'm going to come to you, but first I'm just going to quickly go to Arun. Arun, Suresh wants to invest in a property by VGN Builders opposite the Hilton Hotel in Guindy, and possession is to be given in 2018. About 52 odd lakhs is what he was talking about. Your advice?
See, VGN obviously is a reputed builder in Chennai. But having said that, you will have to clearly, whether it's Casa, Grande, VGN or anybody for the matter, the buyer has to make checks in terms of their delivery timeline, completions, etc. That's most important, because when you look at high rises, obviously these are going to run over a few years by the time he takes over. So if the builder has a clean track record in terms of delivery, the kind of price which he's talking about, the kind of location it is, for sure it is a good buy. So I think he should hold on if he's already made a purchase, and it would do well. But it is for him to check on the builder's credentials in terms of the timelines of completion, which is the biggest ailment in the industry across the whole country.
Okay, Arvind wants to comment on that as well. Arvind, please go ahead. Your advice to the query.
No, I think over here I quite agree with what Arun is saying. The project is good, obviously. The name is good. The location is good. Although, you can always argue that parts of it were affected. But, going back to the earlier discussion, this is one of the best times to actually book or enter the market. I'm not saying, getting into a ready asset which might be affected, but this is probably one of those low points where you could enter the market and still 3 years away. Yes, what you must check is whether the project is on track. This specific project, not the brand and its aura and its halo. But, you have to check whether this specific project is on track. And if it is, then probably go ahead and do it. I don't see any harm.
All right, Arun, I want to ask you about generally about Guindy, and the prospects in this area. How affected is Guindy, or how safe is Guindy as an area?
I mean, obviously, Guindy had a particular location obviously got flooded heavily, including a part of the site. But yes, I do agree that that has happened. But, if the government has made remedial measures in the next 6 months, and if you lost an opportunity to, let's say, buy it at a reasonably good price you're buying in, then you might really feel bad. In fact, we have a property just about 2 kilometers away, and we booked about 280 units even before launching. And we have got the whole project confirmed with all the customers who advanced more money actually post that. So we don't see a big concern there. And having said that, let's say, just a smarter way to see this is, assuming you made an investment now, and you want to withdraw because you have seen some kind of a calamity happening. And let's say government actually, since seeing the calamity, has made some course corrections, and you pulled out. And now after the market understands this, the prices have gone up. Imagine what possibly would happen. So these are the things you might have to understand thoroughly before you really take a call to pull out or, kind of thing. I think it's a great price, great location. I just think you should hold on to the buy.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Suresh, I hope you've got your answer. It's very clear from both our panelists, both the developer and the consultant. I'm just going to go on a little bit of a tangent over here, away from the floods and everything. And I'll start with Arvind on this. Arvind, I'll come to you after this. Arvind, there is an election around the corner in Tamil Nadu. Do you think that will be like an event that the real estate market will benefit from?
I don't see a very direct impact of elections on the real estate market in Chennai per se. Okay. But if you step back and look at the macro picture, there are a series of elections. There is Tamil Nadu, there is Assam, there is Bengal. You have a series of elections. These elections don't have a direct impact on the micro market or the local market per se. But what they can actually create, let's say for example, they can send a certain specific number of Rajya Sabha members. And then, that can escalate or that can speed up some of the real estate policy making. From that perspective, the long-term impact may be there. So the financing committee, the investment community may actually take a call based on that. But I don't see a very localized impact of the election per se, even though it's a state election. Okay. If the real estate market continues to do good, I think it should just go ahead and do it.
If we have Vineet Relia, Mr. Vineet, can you tell us, what would be, your view as a developer, looking at the upcoming state elections in Tamil Nadu?
So I think, I would agree with Arvind on that. So I don't think it has really any major impact. But in the past, what we have seen in state elections, specifically in Tamil Nadu, whenever there's been a change of guard, you have an administration which gets into a freeze for almost 6 to 8 months. Which normally typically holds supply of new approvals and the supply of new launches hold up. So I think that's all. You could probably get a delay in the approval machinery if there is a change of guard. But I think if the present incumbents come back to power, I don't see any implications at all. All
right. If present incumbents come back to power, then absolutely zero impact. Arun, your take. I'm really interested in your take on how the elections and how whether that will be a turning point for real estate in Chennai.
I mean, we all need to thank God that I don't think any of the parties possibly would, really change the way the fortunes evolve in the real estate. It is good that way and let it continue that way. I fully agree with Arvind on this. I don't think it's going to have any major impact, and that is good. Luckily, India and Chennai is surviving beyond possibly, any more contributions from any party whatsoever, actually.
So it's the same, right? Whether one party comes to power or the other party comes to power, as far as the business of real estate is concerned, for developers, they have to deal with the same devils and demons all over again, right?
Nothing changes. Actually, I just think I don't think that's going to have a sizable impact. I would think as ADMK, DMK or any of the other parties come in, I think they have done reasonably well for the state per se, and it would continue. So beyond that, anyway, the state is doing well. I would think this is not going to have any major impact in terms of how the real estate market would swing.
Yes, okay. Now Arvind wants to come in. Arvind, please go ahead.
No, I just want to reinforce the point by saying one more thing. Elections have an immediate impact if there is a major lot of policies waiting for approval and if some of them get stuck. Fortunately in Chennai, whatever had to happen, all the major things have already been done. Every party right now, every political setup is actually going to be only focused on improving the city's conditions. So therefore I think there is a great degree of coherence. I don't think that there's going to be an impact.
All right, all right, all right. Okay, you know what? At this time, it's a good time of the debate to understand, what are the hot locations, the hot micro markets from here on that buyers should be looking to buy in. If this is a good buyer's market, because these prices might not be available a few months down the line. You know what, Arun? I'm going to start with you. Talk to our viewers. The home buyers, the fence sitters. What are the hot locations that they should be looking at when it comes to purchasing their dream homes?
See,
Right,
I would think, today still the OMR story is a pretty strong story. In fact, up to the soaring in, yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead, Arun.
Yeah, up to about a soaring Nolur kind of locations, for sure, would be a very, very, very good, spot at the moment. And then obviously on the GST, up to even Perungulatur, etc. kind of pockets, which have fantastic rail connectivity, and they were slightly, some part of the areas were, pretty bad, but otherwise it was broadly okay. So those are also micro markets which you can look at. Soaring in Nolur locations, etc. is good. Even a Manapakam which got flooded, obviously is instilled a lot of fear, but the government machineries have started acting very aggressively on it, that they might do course corrections in these most affected areas, and they might be the ones which might be the best choice. So if that were to happen, so it is possibly, a customer's smartest to even chase these locations, clinch a killer deal in the market from a builder, because possibly he might be hungry to sell it out because of his own fears, and he might get a great deal in the market. And those locations again might be the ones which might be chased by the government to do course corrections. So ultimately the best bet would be the most affected areas in a convoluted sense. Having said that, locations like, OMR, Soringalur, up to Tambaram and these kind of pockets, actually GST road pockets, would continue to be very, very good locations for customers to make investments in.
All right, Sholinganallur, Tambaram, GST Road, OMR is the word coming in from Arun Kumar. I'm going to take it to Arvind Nandan on that note. Arvind, what would be your hot picks in terms of locations and micro markets in Chennai for buyers to go for?
I think after a lot of or a bit of disagreement, I think we're looking like agreeing quite a lot. So, what I've always believed in Chennai was the quadrilateral, which is, Sholinganallur, OMR and the GST Road, and the quadrilateral that's between the two east-west roads. Whether you take Sholinganallur, you go up to Tambaram, those are actually the real picks, and they're not because whether there was a flood or there was no flood. They are the hot picks because those are the places where most economic activity is happening and will happen next 10 years. So regardless of floods or regardless of a temporary setback, those places will continue to flourish, and those are the places where real estate will actually flourish in future as well. So, the floods will be taken care, the recovery will be done, but those places are the places where from 4,000 till about 7,000, the prices should climb in the next 5, 6, 7 years. So my focus always, my picks always remain those locations.
All right, and what kind of a growth would you, foresee for if a buyer were to buy a house over there? What is the kind of growth that they can expect?
Not very easy to point out a number, but going by the empirical evidence, I would say if economic activity continues the way it has been doing last 7-8 years, then about 50-60% you should definitely expect in the next few years. If you have a very good time, then the price is even double, but that takes much longer these days. I would say about 50% they should definitely expect if they stay patient for 5 years or so.
All right, on that note, I'm going to go to Vineet Relia and ask for his hot picks. Vineet, talk to us, talk to our viewers, tell them what are the hot locations that according to you are good places for people to buy their homes.
So I think, when you're looking at investing in real estate, the key to the location is proximity to the economic drivers, because finally residential is like a byproduct for an economic driver. So I would actually, recommend OMR and GST, because I think majority of the commercial economic activity is around those two corridors. And, when you're looking at what kind of gains can be expected out of it, I think there are 2-3 factors. One is obviously the empirical evidence one can look at, but also a very important factor to see is that today the market is almost at the rock bottom. And for anybody to start new developments and get into the new policy regime with the regulators coming in, with the cost of construction going up, scarcity of labor, the prices are such that the new product itself is almost about 25 to 30% more expensive whenever it is started, launched, and it will be delivered. So I think this is a very, very good time to get in, because the kind of, offers which are going on, I mean, they're like unheard of. I know of some of the offers which I have seen only like 3-4 years back. So I think it's a very good time, and, Chennai typically works like a sine wave because it gets severely affected every time you have an economic thing, but it also bounces back in a big way.
Absolutely. Chennai
I
works like a
think,
sine wave, is
yeah.
the word coming from Vineet Relia of SARE Homes. After a severe affectation, it goes right up above there. And that's the hope as far as everybody is concerned, be it the home buyer or the developer community in Chennai is concerned. On that note, I'm going to thank Arun Kumar of Casa Grande for taking time out to be with us here on the Urban Debate. Arvind, Nandan of Liases Foras, and of course, Vineet Relia. Thank you all three of you gentlemen for putting it into perspective and telling our viewers that this is the right time to go start buying homes in Chennai, because these are prices that you might never ever get back again. On that note, it is a wrap on the Urban Debate, but remember, you can send us feedback and queries on the email ID on your screens. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, so feel free to tweet to us or post a query on our Facebook page. We would absolutely love to hear from you. Also, remember to check out our live streaming website, www.mbnow.in. And with that, this is Krishna Kumar saying goodbye and good night.